All right, the next topic we're going to talk about is conditional statements. So a conditional statement is a sentence, sentence in the form if P, then Q. So it has to start with the word if, say some stuff, and then have the word then in the middle, and then say something else. So an example of this type of sentence is right here. If the Texans win, then we get free slushies. I don't know, Sonic used to do that. I don't know if they do that anymore. But anyway, not the point. So in this sentence, there's two different parts of the sentence. There is the hypothesis, which is going to be the if part of the conditional statement. So everything after the word if, but before the word then. And we're going to underline that. That's why hypothesis is underlined. So if I'm looking at my sentence, after the word if, I start underlining until I get to the word then, and I stop. Okay, so if I look right here, I have written the Texans win. That is my hypothesis in this sentence. Okay. The other part of the sentence is called the conclusion. So that's going to be the then part of the conditional statement. So it's the part of the sentence, everything after the word then. And conclusion is circled because I'm going to circle it in my sentences. So here's the word then, after the word then, all the way to the end, and we're circling it. Oh, that's a pretty good circle. We get free slushies, and that's what I have typed down here. So our conclusion is we get free slushies. Okay. So knowing this about these types of sentences, there's different sentences we can make based on this sentence. So one of them is called the inverse. And you're going to make the inverse by negating, oh boy, this will be fun, negating the hypothesis and conclusion. Okay, so what that means is basically you're putting the word not in the hypothesis and you're putting the word not in the conclusion. So I still have the word if first, and then is going to be over here somewhere. Okay, and in these blanks, so instead of saying if the Texans win, I have to put the word not in there somehow. So I'm saying the opposite of the Texans win, which would be the Texans do not win or don't win. So that's what I'm going to type. If the Texans don't win, okay, then what happens? Well, let's look at the second part. We get free slushies. So what is the opposite? How do I put not into that part of the sentence? Well, the opposite of we get free slushies is we don't get free slushies. We don't get free slushies. Okay. And that is my new sentence. My inverse of the original is if the Texans don't win, then we don't get free slushies. Okay. Let's look at another. Another way we can change the sentence is by doing the converse, okay? So the converse is formed by switching the hypothesis and the conclusion, okay? So again, there's no real shortcut way to memorize this. This is just switch the order. Okay, that does not mean that if and then are moving. If always, if goes first. And then always goes somewhere in the middle, okay? But you are switching the two parts of the sentence, the hypothesis and the conclusion. So right now, the hypothesis was written first. So now it's going to be written after the word then. So what's going to go first? Well, what was second? The conclusion was second, so now it's going to go first. So now it's going to be if we get free slushies. That's in the first part. Then then what happens? Well, then now I'm writing the hypothesis. So what was the hypothesis? The Texans win. So that's my new sentence. I have changed the order. If we get free slushies, then the Texans win. Different order than it was up there. Okay? And the last way that we can change it is by writing the contrapositive. So the contrapositive is formed by switching and negating. So you do both of the things that we just did in the inverse and the converse. You're doing them both at the same time now. Okay? And a side note, this is the only logical equivalent. So what does that mean? Well, logical equivalent just means that if this original sentence is true, then the only way after you change it that it is still true is by writing the contrapositive. Okay, is that a super important fact to know? Nah, not really. But it will be asked for on our practice, so make sure you have this in your notes somewhere. Okay, so now I'm actually going to do contrapositive. Again, just because I'm switching and negating the order of the hypothesis and conclusion does not mean that if and then moves. So if still goes first, then still goes way over here in the middle. And now I'm switching and negating. So now my conclusion is coming first, but I'm saying not. So the opposite of we get free slushies, we already said was we don't get free slushies. All right. Then is still kicking it in the middle. So if we don't get free slushies, then, okay, next part, well, the hypothesis was first, now I'm writing it second, and I have to negate it. So I have to say the opposite of the Texans win, which we said was the Texans don't win or do not win, period. Okay? If you're good with this, you're going to go back and start the formative.